Brody went outside this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? He comes running into the house, rubbing all over the rug, and I'm going, oh. And so he ran underneath the bed in the bedroom, woke Joe up. Joe said, you better get the dog. I think he's been skunked. So I told him to get out of the bedroom, you know. And so I went in the bathroom and I turned the shower on. And then I walked out and looked at Brody and I said, Brody, you know you need a shower. Come on. He walked right in.
Well,
I always have to carry him or drag him kind of into his shower. He just took his little doggy feet and walked in there.
And we had a student come in from.
After 10 years, he's finally gotten really, really smart. And Dawn does really work on skunk. Brody got skunk.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, he's a big adult skunk.
Are you talking about, what's his face that punched that
He
kid?
met him
Yes.
last
And we got in
night.
a ton of
And
trouble
you got
for
in
it.
trouble ever since then. Cation has been on us.
It
ever
was,
since then. And that boy wasn't even.
See, there's a-
Oh, yeah, he was. He was there forever.
Like they've been pinned, like they're pinching.
Are these still players?
Yeah, so
Silver Lake?
that's what started, because he never played in a school, I guess, he wasn't there where that happened, and it happened, and he got tired of it, so he elbowed the other
I don't
kid.
know if that's accurate. The kid
Well,
that punched
Paige,
him
I
had been
talked
there
to
for
a guy
a while.
Well, I worked with the guy from Cation, he told me this is what happened, and that he probably.
And the
got in
year
trouble,
before that,
that,
Drew Kemp almost punched a kid from Silver Lake in the face on the court because he got so upset that he wouldn't back off of him. And Drew does not lose his cool very often. So, I mean, at that point,
anyway, the ever since then, we've had problems, and.
Keith Engler.
With Keisha, just being honest, and they're pushing good sportsmanship, but our kids are getting pummeled. And, I'll tell you, we went to a ball game and I filmed all my kids' games just so they'd have it for later to look at and whatever. And we're at a game and we're filming and I'm watching, and all of a sudden I'm filming and I watch a kid from Dover on our team get waylaid, knocked down, slammed his head against the floor. So I'm keeping it on him and I'm watching down here as I'm keeping it on him. And I watch the ref run down the court and he looks, he goes, and he keeps on going. They would not call a timeout for our boy. Our coach finally had to use a personal timeout to stop the game to get that kid up off the floor.
Jeez.
My husband went over and said, this is what I've been talking about. Our kids are not getting treated fairly. And you're pushing sportsmanship and stuff like this, but this can't go on. We've got to have somebody step up to the plate
Combat
for
when I
these
had a
kids.
videotape.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he went over and talked to someone who is in a high position now
Mm-hmm.
and told them this is what happened. His exact words were, go sit down. I don't want to see your fucking video.
Yeah, Bill Clark. I'm not gonna mention his name. But
Okay, well,
I was recording this.
And that's been 10 years ago.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright. Justin was planning on being here, so he should be coming up. And Todd he had an emergency meeting tonight, so he'll be here. And I imagine that'll be here.
I think so. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, there comes somebody. So let's do a little reviewing of stuff and then we'll kind of start.
Mike's also not going to be here.
Okay. Alright. Okay, call to order. Tim?
Here.
Annie?
Here.
Justin?
Here.
And Brett?
Here. Move to adopt the agenda. Second.
All in favor of adopting the agenda? Unanimous?
I move to approve the minutes of February 10th. Second.
All in favor of approval of the minutes? Unanimous? Okay. Do we have any changes or any questions about the appropriation ordinance 1471? Still looking?
Move to approve additions to appropriation ordinance 1471. I'll second.
Okay, Tim,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes, sorry. I'm sorry. It's a roll call.
that's all right, it
Never
takes
mind.
a while. Justin
Yes.
and Brad.
Yes.
Brad. Walking better?
Getting there.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Slowly but surely.
Any public concerns or comments at this time? Angel?
I wasn't actually gonna bring it up, but since I'm here, I may as well. My yard is a swamp. Like everybody, my neighbor's yards all slope down into my yard, and I have no real ditches or anything. So before I go spending a lot of money on trenching and things like that we have to do, is there something that could be looked at or around my yard? Cause it's bad. Like we sink
Why don't
into
we,
the ground.
why don't I ask Mike, ask Drew to look at it to see if there's something that we need to do with the dishes or if we have any recommendations for you?
Yeah, cause there's like, by Hughes's, there's like a ditch and then it's just kind of a shallow area.
Do you think
with
your area
no drainage.
Do you think it got filled in or something maybe?
I have no idea. I can't make any assumptions. I just know my yard is literally standing water.
Which is fine if you have little baby
It's
fish,
nasty.
yeah. Right.
It's bad. It's really bad. Like,
Okay,
Does that sound familiar?
yes,
Has
it
anybody else
does.
in this community ever experienced that?
Well, most of the time, since I've been on the council, which would be going on 25 years now, it's always seemed to be problems up on the hill and the drainage problem. So it has been an ongoing concern and problem.
Well, I guess, I understand where she's coming from fully, because we fought it for 23 years.
Yeah,
But
That's why
you're
I said
telling, you're
25.
telling her you're gonna get with Mike and see if there's something that can be
that's
done.
because we learned from our
You
experiences.
didn't learn from ours, because you didn't do anything about it.
And
I thought we did.
still hasn't
Still
finished.
hasn't come up there and dug that
What he
ditch out
said
like
he
he
was doing.
promised last August he was gonna do.
I just got tired of bringing it up for a while, so I haven't brought up that he hasn't finished what he said he would do.
In fact, it might even be in the minutes if you go back and look at it. He said that he would be up before Halloween. I guess our mistake was not asking him which Halloween when he was coming up to get it done. And then your city attorney had the nerve to tell me that, for us, that it's not the city's responsibility to dig ditches, because water goes where water goes. So I'm all in favor of digging her ditch, getting it cleaned out like it should be done by the city. And I'm also in favor of having ours dug out like it should be done. Now, I'm not talking Sanford Road now, guys, because that's a county road and a totally different horse. But we're talking about Locust Street and Fifth Street and Sixth Street.
that's what I want. Are you on the same road? Oh,
So, sorry if I sound a little irate about that, but, I've got to be irate considering that we've been put down for 23 years for this very same issue.
I thought something was done, Terry. I seem to remember something being done, a heavy rain that happened, and since then, and nothing.
I will say,
In what part of the yard are you talking about?
Well-
Sanford Road or
Sanford.
Locust?
Well, I don't know. And
Sanford.
it may
they
be
did Sanford, but they haven't done
the
most.
county. Okay, so the county did something.
No, the
No.
county did nothing.
Drew did it.
Drew
Oh, Drew,
came up on
okay.
his own, cleaned it. The county came along and shoved all the gravel back into it.
So we're fighting the county on that.
So now we got.
Didn't the township clean up that north side or the west?
They cleaned out tree limbs. They did not dig a ditch. And when the water rolls down there, it makes sandbars of gravel. And when it hits it, it rolls across into our yard and goes on. So Drew came up there when he was up there one day for something else, and he dug around the drain up top, so we don't have anything coming over the drain anymore. And he dug 3/4 of the way down our yard. Looked really good. It was raining really good on the first couple rains. The county came through, scraped it back in there. Terry asked him if he could dig it out. He said we should have known better than to build on a hill.
Who's it?
The county. So now that it's raining, the water is still going down there. It's coming across, and now it's coming across into our yard lower, but not at least by the house, but it's still coming, and you can see where it swirls into the yard and then goes on down.
Pretty sure Elma has stitches.
I just.
They all said.
So she was
Yeah.
we have
They're
different
almost
shit
like
on.
different.
Marcia, at one time I was told somebody thought, they weren't sure, but they thought there was a buried fiber optic cable or something on the other side
It is,
where
it's-
you need the ditch dug.
No,
It's
no,
a
it's
block and a half,
above,
50 blocks.
it's above
further
Fifth Street.
north from
It's
our-
not from Fifth
So that
Street
shouldn't be
down.
an issue.
There should not be an issue, because from Fifth Street down, it's deep enough.
It goes along Sanford, right?
Right, but
Backside of your
from
property.
Fifth Street
Yeah,
up
but-
Lake Hill, it's not deep enough, so it's got concrete over it.
And that's on
So
the
when-
county
On
side.
the county, but when it gets past the county, past Fifth Street, it's very deep enough that it goes.
Hmm.
But anyway, yes, please help us all. She needs help. Look at it, we need help, please look at it.
It's all my grass is disappearing, like everything's getting washed away. I can't do any landscaping around. I mean, of course it's been winter, but it's bad. It's really bad. And we're getting ready to have to like rent heavy machinery and get things mapped so that we can get these trench things put in. But if the city could, if it's a simple solution, great. If it's something we have to do together, I'm cool with that. We were already planning, but there is no ditch, there is no drainage, and it is kind of just like a wash out onto the intersection from everybody's sloping our way.
Where are you at nowadays, Angel? I'm not.
Anna's old house, 201 Locust.
Across from Phillips.
Across from Phillips Wall.
Yeah. right
Okay,
across the
okay, I
field.
gotcha.
I've jokingly told people for several years that we don't seed our yard anymore because all we're doing is making Greg and Lynn,
Mitchell's yard looked
Greg
good.
and Lynn's, Mitchell's yard look nice and green because all the rain just washes it across the street into their yard.
They appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it pretty up there, and it's really hard. Like, it's not very pretty right now with a huge dumpster sitting out in the front, but, That's it, that's all I
Okay.
got.
Got a couple of things that we'll check on and, all right. Department report, do you have anything, Stephanie, for Mike or,
Nothing from Mike. No.
okay, and you?
Later
Yes.
on, I think, isn't it?
So court, we had court last Thursday.
Yeah.
Met the judge. He seems like he's going to be a really good fit. He was really easy to work with. Nice guy. So the squatters came in. Basically, the judge read them the rights. Todd, they said they wanted to see what the punishment would be before they pled anything. So me and the judge left. Todd settled with them that if they don't vacate by March 1st, it'll be a $650 fine. So, so far I think they are charged with a $150 court fee. But
If they aren't gone
locating
on,
them to get that will
yeah,
be
there's,
interesting.
they will, yeah. And Ryan was here also because he had to
Yes.
present. And he knows that he's supposed, that if they're not gone by the 1st, then they will be removed with no, and they have to take all their stuff at that time. Also, they said they would probably be out of there by the 28th, but they have to come up, they're supposed to come and let you know so that we can go look at the property, make sure that it's vacated. They were told that no matter what the owner said, because the owner said that he was gonna let them stay there, but it doesn't matter, there's no utilities, and it's a commercial building. That's one of the charges that was brought against them.
Mhm.
They had 3 charges, and one of them was that they were living in a commercial building.
I'm sorry, I missed the deadline date. When you do that?
March 1st.
They have to be out.
Thank you.
Yes. And then, oh, sorry, go ahead.
What's the new judge's name?
Brian Vest.
That's
Well,
what,
okay. So yeah, and then the only other thing I have something for you guys to think about. We've kind of thrown some ideas around about setting aside money for the park donation that's coming up. So Mike and I were talking and I didn't think about it before, but an easy way to do that, if you guys are still interested, we still have the active park account that's separate from our general account. I think there's like $300 in there from the memorial funds. If you guys wanted, I mean, that is a city account. If you want to start transferring money over to that to get to our maximum goal, that would be a really easy way to go ahead and set that aside. So just
If we were
an
on a
idea.
more like regular schedule of receiving money, I think it would make sense. But if it has to come out of the general fund, and I mean, you know, our big payday is obviously at the beginning of the year when
Right.
we get ad valorem taxes, but that's when I think they come in anyway. But
yeah, they come in like then and then I think September maybe, but yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a whole lot of value in just making regular transfers of that, but that's just my opinion. But
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we need to, if we're going to participate in that, have something in mind that we want to do, whether we want to participate in that match or not. But
Didn't you guys talk about 7,500? Is that just rolling
That's
around in my
the
brain?
total amount. So I think it's right.
Yeah, no, so,
If they get to 75,
no, we have to raise 15,000, then
Yeah.
you guys are responsible for 50 cents on the dollar for that.
Yes.
So
or the 7,500 up to, yeah.
And this is one that involves a bank, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
you and the
they
bank
would, they would
match.
match 50 cents
Yeah.
as well. So it's a dollar for dollar.
I did talk to
Deal.
Mark. And you guys wouldn't have to pay out till December if that's easier, or maybe even January.
Well, then maybe we should make like 2 payments when we get our money and then again in September.
And again, I mean, I don't know how much it's, I don't know. That was just a suggestion to me. But you guys have a financial sheet also. You can kind of see like what's in the general fund. I mean, operating, checking, of course, but then the first column is going to show like your pool of cash along with what's in the general fund. So yeah. And that's all. Okay.
Since this is departmental reports, what's the police department doing here? How many hours have they gotten in? Or-
Turned any hours in yet. He has maybe a couple. He served the papers and then he showed up for court. But as far as that, I don't think he's.
Yes,
He
here,
hasn't
let
done
me give a
anything.
little report. He
Oh
told
yeah,
me-
you talked to
I
him.
talked
So
to him. He plans on being here at every meeting. He's not at this one tonight because he's at training, which is good. They're paying for training. He's going for it. He's got 4 hours in. Right now they're having him do special. He's doing 3 jobs almost. He's working for the county, working for us, and then they asked him to help out at the school as kind of like we call them SO officers in Topeka. And they're trying to cut down on some of the bad action going on out there, the bullying and stuff. And so he'll put in time. At least he can help us with paperwork, ordinances. I asked him to make a list of the uniforms if he needs any. He has some uniforms from before. He's going to see if they fit. I think they will. He looks about the same. And he will need a gun. But he's going to make us a list of the few things that he needs.
He can't use his county firearm?
No.
Okay.
And
Did he get a badge yet?
he'll need a badge. And he also needs an ID.
yeah.
I don't know for sure what happened to our badges all the time.
He let John use the gun when he was dual capacity like that.
Former sheriff. There's a new sheriff in town, boys.
And also, Ryan asked me to bring up with you that if you guys would buy the gun right now, he would like to pay for the gun. He'd like to draw it out of his wages so that the gun would eventually belong to him. And I think he just would like that. Do you care? Because that means, I mean, he might be with it if it works out for him and he does a really good job, he stays with us, he'd be with us. But then it would be his gun.
So to me, that's him bringing his personal firearm to work and less expense to us. I mean, that's an easy yes on my
Seems like a
part.
no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
Okay, he'll pay for it out of his wages. So, okay.
Is that legal?
As long as he's still taxed on the wages, as long as it doesn't come out like pre-tax, I don't see why that's an issue.
Okay.
If Todd
I'm
uses
okay
it,
with it as long as Todd says it's
Yeah, we
fine.
can learn about
Oh,
Todd,
sure.
that makes
Meeting, he
sense.
should be here.
I imagine he knows more about what gun meets the requirements than I do, so.
Okay,
That was
so
weird.
he'll present us with that probably at the next meeting, because it is his intentions, unless he has some kind of conflict, to be here every meeting.
He told me, I'm sorry, Annie, I want to finish real quick about the badge. He told me he knew where he could get a badge. They're really cheap. I think it was under $20 or something like that. He just wanted to know if he needed council to give him approval, if he can just go get it and bring the receipt. And I told him I needed to ask everybody here.
I
thought he
should
could
be
just
able
go
to
get
approve
it.
that
Yeah, I would
anyway.
think so too.
Yeah,
But anyway, I wanted to bring
That'd be
that
great, cause I don't know where to get it.
up. He-
yeah, he was gonna,
Like badges or
he
us
did
or
talk
something.
about getting identification and badges, so that's probably the conversation we had.
Maybe
I
that's
want
not.
one too.
Check that out and get.
Was there some kind of
$20.
resolution with the vehicle? Because I know that I
No.
read the council or
He's
the.
using the
Red
Can't-
truck.
red truck right
Oh,
now.
okay, so it is, okay.
I wonder if we could put the light bars
Has there
on
been
that.
any, I don't know, anything on the vehicle fronts in general about?
Well, we're gonna kind of look at Blue Wave and see if we can find something, unless you guys decide to put another engine in that other truck, which would cost almost $4,000, I do believe. Wasn't it 3,800?
I think
Yeah.
38 something for the 1 year,
Yeah.
right? And then like 4,000,
45 or-
yeah.
And then we would
45.
wanna keep it up here where the cameras are, so it doesn't get anything poured in the oil.
Don't give them any
Yeah, it
ideas,
doesn't
Don.
stop them technically. You just
I
might
know,
have a
but we
better
might
idea
get
who
to
did
see
it.
him, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious. I didn't realize he was using the red truck, so that solves my question.
Yeah, he is, yeah. Had some dog issues, got them taken care of. Mostly it was dogs that were getting out of the yards. It's that time of year, I guess. And all dogs are returned. But, you know, yeah, anyway. Any purchase requests or work orders?
Nope.
We already kind of got a work order already. Okay. Selling the barracks.
Yeah, so I reached out to Tom since he wasn't gonna be here and asked how this works. But he said it's basically just kind of like a doc transfer. It would just be transferring the lease from one name to another. So you guys have a letter from Larry and Brenda Frederick asking to transfer it to Joe Frederick and Chris Breeden.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor? Unanimous. It'll be fun having Chris out for like. Okay, then we're going to, we've had some conversation about developing a policy for maternity leave. We want to discuss that tonight.
For the reasons I'm here.
Okay, and also, anything that we discussed, and of course, we'll have Todd look at any of the results if we get it tonight, or we can discuss it tonight, write stuff up and then present at the next meeting, whatever comes out of this meeting tonight.
Well, I have some notes I can read off if that's.
That would be great, Justin. Thank
Well,
you.
let's. Okay, so I think, although we aren't subject to FMLA, it's not a bad practice to follow it. In a few years, I guess we probably would have to anyway, just kind of the way the laws are shaken out and the direction things are going. I'm probably personally more for treating things as a case-by-case basis than coming up with a formal maternity leave policy, but I can go along with the policy if that's the route we take. Of course, we want to balance taking care of the city's needs and keeping the city an attractive place to work. We will have to spend money to do this. And I know Annie put together a cost analysis too. That
I don't know how. I mean, here, let me hand it out. Would you like?
Yes. You have one?
I see where you're at.
I also put together why I feel so strongly about paid maternity leave and why it is kind of a big deal. Did I get one over there?
Where?
I don't know, does everybody have?
Dolly didn't have one, so sorry. Yeah, I'll take that.
I'm just trying to say what else you guys can. If you want to look at my stuff. Okay, so on the cost analysis, I actually kind of evaluated different lengths of leave and how much that would cost with the current situation being Stephanie's paycheck and her rate of pay. And then I split it up to, because she gets paid out of 5 different funds, I split the cost up per fund.
You guys need one of these?
Did I get everybody one? Sorry.
Oh,
Were you
Yeah,
done with
next
your
one.
notes?
That's
what's that?
Go ahead.
No, I wasn't, but that's fine.
Oh,
I can talk anytime.
are you sure?
Yeah.
You mean?
I just got to the part where I had some cost stuff, and I knew you did
Oh,
some cost
sorry, I
stuff. so-
totally cut in.
Nope, no problem at all.
Okay, so the first box is Stephanie's pay, and then the second box is how much the substitute coverage. And I did check with her, and she said training she didn't think would be more than 2 to 3 weeks additional, so I factored in the max on that. And then to pay for her sub, 12 weeks full time. And then if we wanted to throw around some cost saving ideas, I thought about part-time hours, 20 hours a week instead of a full 40. And to be honest, even if we just paid Stephanie 3 weeks full pay, and then had her sub work 12 weeks part-time, it's almost equal. So, I mean, we've saved that money, and then she could, I mean, it wouldn't change anything, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And at the top, then I didn't split it all again with the full-time sub per fund and then the part-time sub per fund. If you want total expenses, they're at the bottom of the sheet. So 6 weeks paid with the sub included would be $8,490 in expense total for the city. For the sub alone, it's $4,650. Yeah, that's that sheet right there. So, I mean, if you guys have any questions, and I just split it from the end of 2019's account report of the balance. So, I mean, to me, it made hardly a dent in anything, even with the max on everything.
Is that an equal, like a 20% out of each of those 5 funds?
Yes,
Is that? Okay.
that's because it's
Yeah.
That's what we
split by
do.
ways
Yes.
between the
Okay.
five. Yeah.
So especially like now, I don't charge anything for my time for the lake because we're not doing a whole lot. I mean, every now, like probably every other paycheck, I'll take a little bit out of the lake fund. But yeah, definitely in August, it's gonna come out of
Okay.
sewer, gas, water, general, lake.
And a substitute can come out the same way. There's no
Absolutely.
restriction to say that
Yep.
they just out of general or anything like that, like
Yep.
a police
Right.
officer.
I
Okay.
talked to April about it, and she had said when she first came on, yeah, that's definitely justified because you spend actually probably the majority of your time working on everything else other than general, like, whatever,
Yeah.
utilities and lake.
I think I missed, what did we decide to pay the sub?
I think the subs
The sub's
already
already-
at $775.
It's Carrie, yeah, it's $775.
Have you talked to her? Does she have any interest?
She is
in-
interested, yes,
Okay.
yes,
Is
and she for sure will not need that
okay.
much
So
time.
she's okay with the part time, is what I'm wondering.
I would guess, yeah.
Okay.
I haven't talked to her about the part time, but
Okay. That's what I mean. I
she
didn't know
would
if
be
she was-
okay with whatever she's offering.
Okay.
So then would that take a training expense away since she's already trained on the position?
I mean, she is trained.
She
This would
is
be
trained. She hasn't been here full time. So entering payments is one thing, like when I'm gone for a day, but it's a lot different if you're here for 12
So
weeks.
realistically, to get her trained, would it take the full 3-4 weeks, or would you be able to get her rolling in a week
I would
or
say
two?
max 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Max. So, but also, I mean, keep in mind, I did offer when I was on maternity leave, which I don't know how many people offer this, just gonna throw that out there, but I offered to be on call anytime she needs anything, and I offered to have a laptop so that I can log in at home anytime when needed. So,
That's a little bit of abuse of your time off, but
Plus, I don't think you can actually do that.
since we're not
No, we're not
FMLA,
It doesn't
FMLA 's
matter.
subject
Once
to-
you're off on
yeah.
disability, you're off. If you call you in, then you come back to work. If it's
She's
disability by
not
law.
gonna be disability.
Maternity leave is like a disability.
I don't know, Todd didn't say anything about not being able to.
Yeah, we
so.
can, we'll direct it to him.
it's a good question.
It's good to know that.
That way you don't get screwed out of anything by answering a phone call.
I've been,
You know.
I've been warned of that also, that you might be in a bad boat if that took place. If you were to get called during your maternity leave, then that would screw you out of the rest of the maternity leave.
Make sure you
Now, I've been
protect
told
your
that
home
by
runs.
just, I don't know, not anybody not Todd, I'll put it that way. So we definitely
I
need to
can
find
see
the
where
answer
that
to
might be because we're paying her to be off and so if she's,
When you have to pay
but
for
I
work.
still can't see it would be wrong if Carrie gets into a spot and has a question.
I don't know who's
But-
gonna answer her.
Right, but we
is the
wouldn't want
thing.
her to do anything that could put things in
Exactly.
jeopardy for
Yeah,
her.
exactly.
You know what I mean? By being,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna be helpful. Oh, I just, helped myself out
I'm
of
missing out here.
benefits, you know?
They're worried.
What laws are we worried about?
I don't know.
We're concerned about making a policy. If we make that policy's for us. What laws are we gonna break that are in place already? In other words, are there laws in place right now?
Labor law out there. You can't
Are
circumvent
there laws in place right now that give her maternity leave?
We don't have the answer to that. That's why we need to ask Todd.
But what I'm saying is, where's this law about breaking a law that's not even created?
I think that's the way
I
FMLA is supposed to work,
FMLA has
right?
nothing to do with
But
maternity leave.
I know it,
God.
yeah, I know it.
I've
It can
dealt
be-
with that,
I'll,
dealt with that as much as she.
Brad, that's not even, I will ask, that's one of the questions we'll ask Todd.
Well, that's up to us. We're making the policy.
I
So
know,
if we make a policy and say part of that ruling of that policy is we're going to allow her to work. We make that policy.
I understand that, but I think we have to work within the labor laws of the state, don't you think?
No, we
We
don't
need
have
to
to,
ask.
Brad.
I
We can
think it
ask.
doesn't hurt to ask. If the
Yeah,
answer
let's-
is no, we
let's
don't need
ask.
to work
I
within
know,
that.
no, I absolutely
Let's
ask.
get some
but-
peace of
But
mind.
it doesn't mean
Absolutely
we can
ask, but
discuss
I
it
don't,
right now.
but I don't think, we're the ones making the policy. So if in that policy we say she is allowed to, then we're not breaking a labor law because that's a policy that we've enacted.
With that said, I just don't want her to be abused like what's being said, and a short phone call here and there. I personally don't have a problem with it if you don't have a problem with it, but that's,
Yeah, I don't. That's how I justified part of it by, having paid leave.
yeah.
Well, let me ask another question along the same lines of maternity leave, since you're talking policy or maybe proposing one. You're referring to maternity leave as though it only applies to females. What if Justin's wife were to have a baby? Does he get any maternity leave to help support or take care of that baby?
Well, he wouldn't because he's on city council, but
Like what?
a full-time employee, yeah.
Full-time.
Yeah.
You mean?
Oh, yeah.
Drew or
What
Mike,
if-
yeah.
What
Yeah.
if Drew or Mike were to have a
But that
I
would
would-
be a
I would
separate
say a-
paternity.
I would say a
Right.
No,
paternity
it would be considered a family leave act. So,
There you go.
or family, what is it called? Family,
family
Family
medical
medical
leave
leave
act?
act. There we go.
Cover the line.
FMLA?
but no, it's not FMLA. It's,
That's
that's not what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
It's, they just refer to it as family, like
Like a parental.
Regardless of
Parental
the,
leave,
regardless of
parental
what
leave.
we're gonna
It's
call
parental
it,
leave.
it's still
I'm
what
sorry,
Terry's
it's-
trying to ask.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would actually be in favor of one.
I'm in
I
favor of
wouldn't-
both.
I would not
Gender.
go 6 weeks paid
No,
for males. I mean, I would, there's not as much labor involved in that.
I don't think
I
even
would
if
say
you have
maybe-
6 weeks available that most men would even take.
I would
6
say
weeks.
maybe 2 weeks are
Well, hell, I
appropriate,
would.
and I would throw in
Okay.
maybe 2 weeks for
What if the
adoption,
wife
mother
dies?
or father,
What
or
if the wife
surrogacy.
dies at birth?
I mean,
Then
you
does the
got,
husband still only get 6 weeks, even though the wife just passed away from giving birth?
But we're not even giving the
Oh,
lady
well.
giving birth 6 weeks.
I mean,
well,
that's-
whatever you
We
give.
can always-
So, I
No,
mean,
no, no, whatever you give, I'm just saying.
That's an
Right.
extraneous circumstance.
Yeah, no,
That
it would be-
That could be
I guess
addressed.
My point in all this is, someone mentioned do it on a case-by-case basis. I don't feel like you can do it on a case-by-case basis
I don't
because it
agree.
allows for
Yeah.
discrimination.
I agree
No.
with that sentiment. I think it
So
needs to be
yeah,
a policy
like-
enacted for everyone, but that's,
Yeah.
And what better policy than what the government currently puts out?
Ooh,
Yeah.
it's horrible.
I don't know.
but that's my hang up with this, is that the
Yeah.
United States is the only, there's 2 countries left in the world that don't have paid maternity leave policy. 2.
But if you're talking government though,
Those other
and if we
countries will
go by
let you
the
move
state
there.
of
I know, I'm
Kansas, they
looking
get
forward to
6
it, Tim.
weeks paid. I'm just gonna throw that
Say
out.
it again.
Yeah.
State of Kansas employees get 6
Is that
weeks
really
paid.
how you should talk
And
to
that's
your
why
boss?
my original
I mean,
proposal
I-
was
Don't bring your
that.
socialism
That's
here.
the first place
Go ahead.
went to.
Are you
Stephanie.
asking me to leave the meeting because you disagree with my policy,
I did
my
not ask you to
politics?
leave
Is
the
that
meeting.
what you as a council member are going on record doing at the moment? Are you requesting I leave this meeting because you consider me a socialist?
I did not at any point ask you to leave the meeting.
Oh, okay, I must have misheard.
But Stephanie, I agree with what you said. I agree that the state of Kansas pays for maternity leave for their employees.
Mhm.
But you gotta remember, the city of Eskridge is not near the size of the state of Kansas.
And we
I
also
understand.
only have
That's-
4
This is
full-time
not
employees.
That's apples to oranges, yeah,
It's not
yeah.
personal at all.
We have 3 or 4 employees, so you're talking the same percentages either way.
Yeah,
whether-
it's a
whether it's a
percentage of
huge
income
city or a
versus
small
employee.
city, percentages are still exactly the same because in big city, you have thousands of employees, so you have thousands of people that you may have to pay paternity leave. So it's apples to oranges. That's neither here nor there.
I don't believe so.
Yeah,
Let me ask
there's
this-
absolutely
well,
no
Let me
difference.
ask you this question. How many city employees have been given an opportunity to buy disability insurance? Who knows? Does anybody know the answer to that question? Were city employees given an opportunity to buy disability insurance? If you
I
don't know
bel-
the answer, just say you don't know.
I think they have, I
Believe
think
me,
they're all
I
given
believe
the opportunity.
Okay,
That's
so
what
if
Sheila
they
was
turn
saying.
that down, should we pay them to have disability time off for being disabled?
But this isn't disability.
So-
It's not disability.
It's not, you
Don't
don't
look at it as
qualify for
disability,
short-term disability giving birth.
It's an anticipated
Oh, there's a
disability.
difference.
There is a
But
difference.
if you
It's the
fall
same
pregnant
thing.
when you haven't purchased short-term disability, you can't go back and buy it. It's not like
That's
health
right,
insurance
that's
today.
right, you can't.
Well, the
But you're
timing
given
of
an
open
opportunity
enrollment and
ahead of time
everything,
To
so
purchase
it's-
it to protect you for any future thing down the road that would cause you to be short-term disability, long-term disability, anticipated disability, or unanticipated. Break a leg, you don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, that's why they offer insurance. It's just like auto insurance or homeowner's insurance. If we don't buy homeowner's insurance and something happens to us, who do you think's gonna pay for it? You think we can go back to our employer and say, hey, my house burned down and I don't have insurance, even though I had an opportunity to buy it? I don't have it. Will you pay for it? After all, I'm your employee. I gotta have a place to live. Can't live in my car. Just something to think about, guys, because this isn't the only employee that you're gonna have an issue with over the long term.
You wanna take care of them long term.
You want to take care of your employees
All
long
of
term,
them.
not on a case by case basis, because what's gonna happen is somebody's gonna come in here. If I become an employee of the city and you guys are ticked off at me for whatever reason, because I've come in here and griped about my yard, or I griped about this, or I griped, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you don't like me, I am not gonna get that disability from you guys. Plain and simple.
I agree. I think it's a policy that should be made across the board.
Should be made across the board, equal to everybody.
And abuse like
Yeah,
that does
that's-
exist, so I think
And
it's
here's
important.
another proposal for those of you who don't like that thought. Why not get a committee of 7 people maybe?
Because that's
We
our
have
job.
5
That's
people
our
here.
job.
Our job
Yeah,
is to take care of the
your
park.
job
We got
is
a
to
committee
do
for
what's
that.
best interest of the city. That's your job. Your
That's
job
right.
is to do what's in the best interest of the city.
That's right.
And if you've got
When
community
when they
members.
tear down these houses,
His
Well,
turn.
Just a minute, if you've got community members that are willing to get together and hash out proposals, we're not saying that we
Twice a
have to
month,
go
Terry.
by it, we're just throwing out proposals. There's gonna be all kinds of proposals that would come out, and look at them and decide from yourselves which one you guys think's the best for everybody concerned.
I just don't believe in having a working group for every city issue. And
This is a major-
offloading that decision making to someone else.
This is a major issue. Otherwise,
I
we
agree
had a
with you,
committee
yes.
about these ditches a long time ago.
Yeah, that's,
But this is a major issue. This is an issue that, over the long haul of the city, is gonna cost you guys money. If
I
not
agree.
done properly, it's gonna cost you money.
Yeah.
And like she said, I agree, I'm sorry, but if you fall into that category of what I'm talking about, you know, you guys know I retired from working for the government for 40 years. And I've been through a lot of that. In fact, FMLA, I think, came about 92 or 93, somewhere around there, 93. So my last 17 years, I dealt with that
So is
constantly. I'm
her job is not protected by
I-
FMLA?
You
they
talk to
don't have it.
the Kansas League of Minnesota?
No, but it's
that's-
protected by the council, I think. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
Right,
I-
but
we're
there
not-
is no policy that says she's guaranteed her job back
That's
after
what
she leaves to
we're
have this
going to
baby.
try and
Okay.
develop
No,
if
That's
we
what
get a
you're working on,
chance.
not only paid, but
Yeah.
also guaranteed that
Yeah.
she's going to have her
That's
job
right.
to come back to.
That's
Yes.
something I had a person caught me out to school and told me that not just Stephanie, of course, we're talking about her scenario right now, but for all situations, I think that we should set a policy that regardless of what, the money, who pays, whatever, we need to set a policy saying that we will honor the FMLA leave idea, not just a promise, but we need to set a policy saying
In
that we will do
writing,
that.
that's.
That way, whoever the person is has that peace of mind of knowing, in fact, they do have
So
security.
that's an agreement amongst everybody,
I
that that is
think
going to
so.
go.
I think
So
everybody
now
agrees
the
with that.
second part
Yeah.
of that is,
Should we pay?
is she going to be paid or not?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that it's kind of, you're gonna hate this, Tim. I think it's kind of, we need to think beyond, this is what we've always done, so let's just continue doing it. Things are changing, policies are changing, ideas are progressing. Annie made a good point on bullet point number 7 here, that, if we support our employees through life changes, they will stay with us. Cost of employee replacement is much higher than cost of coverage and paid maternity retirement.
Retainment.
Retainment, thank you. It's true. It costs more money. I worked in a salon. I had several people leave because they just couldn't come back after having a baby. It cost me way more money to continually replace these girls who were leaving to have children.
I agree.
Stephanie's a valued asset. She is a young person. She's going to be here for years to come, I'm
She's
assuming.
got 2 years
No,
of
stop. You can't be
So-
personal about this. We're talking about a policy.
excuse me.
Okay, but
We
look at
have-
all
I
of
don't
our-
want this to be about Stephanie at all.
So we have.
So stop for just 1 second. Look at the training that all of our employees have received while on the job here. I mean, Stephanie has had grant training. That's a valuable trait, but still.
How much money has the city?
How much have we paid for the city employees to get the water plant training? I don't even know all the training that they get.
Yes.
All right, we
Licenses
have-
are
we
networking
have-
is, you can't put a price on, knowing who to call for all,
Exactly.
We
other
have
cities and. Yeah.
we have 4 employees to run 4 businesses. We have water, gas,
Exactly.
sewer, and I consider the city a business. And we have 4 people running these, and they're big, and like, that's true. These are big businesses that we make big money off of, and we try and keep them up to date, and running properly. We have some employees here that have the ability to teach the community as we do things like the sewer project that we're on. So we have very valuable employees. They are certified. I think Mike is certified in everything. Drew is certified in everything. Jim is certified in 3 things: water, sewer, and I'm not sure what else, but that all costs money, and we know that, and we are very interested in retaining our employees. They're young. They should be able to grow with the city, or at least take care of us as we age as a city.
And I agree with that. I agree with that, but I do have a question for you
Yeah.
guys. What contingency plan is set in place right now if disaster were to happen and we lose both Mike and Drew to an unforeseen accident and they both die?
That's why we
That
have the
could,
partnership with the.
yeah.
So there's
Yeah,
your
you're
there's your
right.
answer right there.
Mutual
You got
aid.
a partnership with someone else to come in case something like this happens, right?
We do with the other cities.
Okay.
Yeah.
We would
They
immediately
work-
consider hiring full-time. I mean, we'd go
Come
into
on in.
disaster mode. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but you do have somebody and you got a plan in place, so if something happened, the city's not gonna shut down because nobody can read gas meters or deal with gas, nobody can deal with the water or the sewer. You've got people from another town, another community that can come in and fill in for those people until we get back up to speed, right?
That's the plan.
We have an emergency plan.
Yeah, that's,
We just hope that doesn't happen.
Well, of course, we hope it don't happen.
yeah.
But anyway, that really diverges us off of what we came here to talk about. What you're talking about is important, but we were gonna work on this for now. And all that other stuff is good things to think about.
Did you have other stuff to add?
Okay,
I can start it whenever you can.
This is for everybody to read and,
Okay.
and if we want to talk about anything on it, I'm open to questions or sources or anything, so. But you, go ahead.
Well, I'd also done a cost analysis. I think this is in more detail, so I would just defer to what Andy came up with. I know somebody has made the comment, it's double paying. It's not truly double paying, is Stephanie's wage is higher. And the added benefits that the city pays, I mean, we're basically paying part-time wages plus, FICA and all that. I don't know, whatever that is, like 8% on top of that. I'm not sure if we even pay any disability insurances or anything, but I also had the question, why does this have to be full-time filling in? If we had someone 20 hours, and Annie is also accounted for this year, so very good on that. If we had someone in for 20 hours, I would think a schedule posted on the door would be sufficient. If we say, somebody's going to be here all day Monday, Tuesday morning, and Thursday afternoon. And, I was wondering if the bank could assist by accepting utility payments and keeping a ledger of who paid during this time, if they would be willing to do that. If they would be willing to take somebody's pay stub and just, staple it to the deposit slip and just drop it off the city, they come by here. So that was just an idea. So. I think we should grant some additional paid time off in addition to regular paid time off that she gets anyway, or any policy we would make. I would personally be for 6 weeks paid. Anything more would be unpaid or come out of regular leave. I'm really not in favor of any more than the traditional 6 weeks paid unless mother or child is hospitalized, in which case I would probably be for that. Bottom line, I don't want to lose Stephanie as our city clerk. From a purely practical approach, what we paid before having a clerk and deputy clerk in times that we knew our clerk was leaving was very substantial. I think when Lisa left, we had 6 months with her and Donna. I think when Donna left, we had 4 to 6 months with her and Stephanie. I don't know if Stephanie leaves, if, just decides to up and leave, if she doesn't get additional paid leave, but I have to think it increases the chance, just making the city a less attractive place to work. And if that happens, where do I go here? The cost to train a new person in the process far outweighs what we would ever pay in maternity leave. To step out of just being a practical approach, I think it's simply a good practice to take care of our people. Let's see. If we do it now, kind of go off into ideas here. It's already been mentioned. Do we write anything for paternity? I don't support granting as much leave in maternity as any case. I could get behind 2 weeks. Wouldn't surprise me if the Fed step in at some point and force employers to treat men and women equally, in which case maybe we do go to 6 weeks. But I know adoption was thrown around publicly as an idea. I would just be inclined to treat that the same as paternity, with 2 weeks for a mother or a father. But if we write a policy, I think these things probably ought to be in there in some way, shape, or form. If we do a policy, do we want to limit to people that have been employed by the city for a certain, years of service, 1 year or something like that? Might be appropriate, what might not, but wanted to throw that out there. And also, I just wrote that we need to have someone take notes for meetings, whether appointing a city council member or have Carrie in as a deputy clerk. But that's what I had. And I also came up with, I want to write everything down, just a policy that we could use. We could redline. It's just idea. It's not anything concrete. Yeah. But it's just something we could use and consider. Wouldn't necessarily expect a decision tonight, but would want to, everybody have the chance to mull over and also complete our discussion that we're having now. So,
I will say it's not uncommon in other countries to see them require like a minimum employment time before they grant paid leave. So I think in Canada you have to work 2 years before you receive their paid leave, up to 6 months or whatever it is. So I'm open to that as well. I don't mind a minimum employment time beforehand. I know some people worry about people taking advantage, like getting a job, getting pregnant. So that's something that we could build into a policy for sure. I wouldn't.
And for the record, that is not written in here.
Okay.
So it was just
You can add it in.
kind of spitballing, but yeah, that's.
Yeah. So those are things that you can do to kind of make people feel better about it or feel more secure. I should have wrote them down as you were talking. I think you made a point about, you don't want Stephanie to leave because you want to make the position more attractive. I don't think it's that simple. And a lot of what I talk about in my sheet, the fact sheet that I wrote up, is that it's not about wanting to stay or wanting to go or how attractive the job is. That if you fall into those circumstances where you are struggling financially, like maybe you didn't think you would be struggling financially until you're done with maternity leave, you're now forced to look at your childcare issues, expense, which I talk about here. We're ranked third highest expensive in the world. People don't always accommodate for childcare, then turn around and can't handle it. Compacted by the fact that they were unpaid for several weeks at a time. So then they're trying to get over a financial hump that they can't. There's also unexpected health issues that you can't always plan for with baby or with mom. And the fact that we encourage our parents to come back to work within 6 weeks, even 12 weeks. Your baby's not even fully vaccinated until 6 months. Their immune system's not ready for daycare before 6 months. So I would be in favor of her being able to bring a baby to work. I know that's not an open book policy because some jobs don't allow for that. So, her in an office is one thing. The guys out working machinery is obviously not a situation where you could expect that to happen.
Yeah.
And I know it's written that way. So in circumstances where it's allowed, I think it's a good idea to encourage. It also helps parents nurse, which also increase their immune system. One thing I think I left off of here is that we have one of the worst maternal mortality rates, which is mothers dying, not children, in the developed world.
Really?
We're at the bottom. Not undeveloped. Obviously a lot of those countries have very terrible maternity care, but for developed countries, we're at the bottom, which means that we're not taking care of our mothers properly. We're not taking care of their children properly because our infant mortality rate is not very good either.
Has that been a decline? I thought that we were doing well there
Oh no.
back in
I
the
would have figured.
We're getting worse.
Well, but
Oh no, we're getting worse. We're
getting
going down.
worse.
Worse. That's one issue. It's a multifaceted window. And I argue in here, that cost to society, to taxpayers, is actually higher for women who go back to work too early, because if you have a low income household, low income can apply for federally funded assisted childcare costs. So the sooner they put their baby into childcare, the sooner taxes are being paid toward that childcare. Whereas this is more, and I know that we're the government. I'm not confused there, but this is more employee paid leave. So it's coming from here to there. And I guess my point is that us doing it encourages other people to do it. And I feel like other companies should take the burden of this, not taxpayers. It also, low-income parents are also eligible for WIC, which covers formula. So if they can't nurse because they went back to work early, we're not paying formula costs, which are $70 minimum a week. That's a high. It's higher than diapers. So childcare, formula, these are all expenses right away that we see come out of taxes in other ways. The problem is that you can't assign this number to this right now. We can see this number easily, but we can't see the benefits of paid maternity leave because they are so expansive and across the entire nation, not just this town. So that's my argument, is it goes much further than just this table and this 4 employees. And I feel like even with our 4 employees, we can see that this is plausible. I don't see us all having babies, multiple babies a year, ever. Honestly.
Well, that's not the point that I was trying to make. My point is that with FMLA and the amount of vacation time and stuff you get, it is good for the employee and it is good for the employer. It insures both of you. The employee is assured that she has a job or he has a job when they come back.
But I think we're all on board with FMLA protection.
Right.
So that's not the.
But the thing of it is, what about the mother who can't breastfeed? I mean, there's lots of them. Their milk doesn't come
But
in, they can't have
her
it.
baby is still
But-
with her more
Yes, the
often.
baby is with her for 6 weeks, just like other people's babies are or whatever. But some people can't afford even that, you're right, but they do get into they get other help from other places. This is not personal. This has nothing to do with what I have done or can't do or haven't been able to do or didn't do or whatever. It's just the fact that it is money coming out of, and I know I called and talked to all of you a little bit, and I actually just wanted a committee. That's what my whole main goal was, to say, could we all get together and talk about it? Basically what I got was there's not enough interest from the community. So I'm here today because I want to show you I have an interest in what goes on in the community. And I thank all of you for visiting with me. But
Well, likewise, thank you for visiting with us.
yeah,
And
so,
your opinions are appreciated.
I mean, that's why I'm here. And I want Stephanie to know it's not personal.
Oh, we don't.
This
any of this
is-
personal.
It is a money issue, and I just want a policy set up that is good for every single person. And if Stephanie has another baby or something later down the line, then she is protected at that point with something that's already done. If somebody's wife gets pregnant, then all these boys tell me they don't want any more kids right now, but they do have one, then it's there. But some of these policies would help them with no matter what happened. What if the wife gets sick? They could be off with that plan to help them and be assured to get their job back.
Even with one of their children.
Even if one of their children gets sick, they can
So I guess
take
I'm
time off.
confused. Are you in favor of paid leave?
I am not. I'm in favor of using your sick time and your vacation or PTO, whatever you want to call it, first. Because you
All
have
the
it.
employees are in sick leave here.
They all earn sick leave and they all earn vacation
They do.
time.
So what's that sick leave used for? What's the sick pay used for? Sick pay.
I mean, if you go to the doctor,
Sick
you
leave.
use it, right?
Think
Well-
about this for a quick
What's
second.
the-
You guys remember a guy named Rex Turnbull?
Sure.
I know it.
He worked for the
Absolutely.
city for a long time, didn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't he work for the city for a long time? What happened to him when he retired? What happened to his sick leave? Anybody know?
I don't know how that policy works.
He
Well, he got it all.
Oh, he got paid?
He got
Oh, really?
a heck of a bonus.
100%.
Did he get paid for sick leave or vacation?
He got paid his sick
Cause you
leave.
can't carry over your
Can't
vacation.
carry over
You get paid
vacation.
for it.
Okay, I would have figured it went up in smoke, but
What's that?
I would have figured it went up in
I
smoke, but
thought our
that's,
handbook said you
We
got
would
paid
think
for
that, we would
vacation,
certainly
but you
think that,
have
but
to take
the
a
city
sick
paid him for 4 months. He had 4 months of accumulated sick leave.
Last time
Now,
I
so
was
let me ask this, if the city doesn't have a policy,
That's in the handbook.
It's in the
it
handbook.
is in the handbook.
Mhm.
what is
Yeah,
it?
we've got one.
What is, what?
I'll go
Pay out
get the
sick leave.
handbook.
We,
What is?
we changed that immediately after he left because of that, Terry.
Okay, all right, well, see, I wasn't
Okay.
aware of that. That's good to know, that's good to know.
I mean, not good, because what if he really needed it at the end, but bad for you
If
guys
he
paying out
needed it-
money to
if he
somebody.
needed it,
who's
was
I
there
think we
for
put a
him.
cap on the rollover or the however much you can accumulate. And
I'll tell you, I had it good for 40 years. I was able to roll over every dime of my sick leave that I could. But when I retired, my benefit for not using my sick leave for my entire career was I got it added towards my retirement. So where I had
But you didn't get it all.
38 years of government service, I got credit for 2 additional years because of the number of hours of sick leave I had accumulated over that 38 years. Now, if you put pen to paper on that and add a calculator to it, my loss was the government's gain. And I say that because to get an extra 2% on my retirement check every month for the rest of my life, I would have to live the equivalent in 48 years after retirement to get my full sick leave benefit back.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So when Rex Turnbull retired, I don't have a problem with giving him some credit towards his retirement, but not at 100%, and which is what he got. He got 100%, but you did say it was changed shortly after he left, and that's good. So I don't know what it reads now.
It's upon termination, it's vacation, which is what I thought it was. An employee shall be compensated for all vacation leave at the rate of 1 day per month for each month worked in the year of termination, less vacation used.
And
So-
sick leave.
But we've paid out
Sick leave
vacation
just
already
goes
in
away.
the last couple of years.
Yes, correct.
So we don't pay sick.
We don't
That's a
pay-
separate pool of,
Which
we
one
pay
rolls
Mike
over to
his
the year?
vacation leave.
Which one rolls over to the next year? Is it sick?
Well, they both do, but they are capped. Sick leave You can't accrue more than 720 hours of sick leave, and then vacation.
What does that equate to? Somebody math real
But
quick, like
the
7
problem with that scenario versus this scenario is that you're talking about somebody at the end of their career,
90
40
days.
years.
No,
And-
you wouldn't let me finish.
Oh.
Here's my point in saying that. Here's my point.
Okay.
I'm gonna use Stephanie for an example, if I may, okay? All right, Stephanie? So Stephanie does not have to use her sick leave to take time off for her baby. So let's say down the road, she gets fortunate enough to be pregnant again, she's off again, she doesn't burn her sick leave, and this goes on, say she has 4 babies.
I don't think anybody's proposed that she doesn't use her sick leave. I think we're saying we pay
For the
6
last
weeks
6
and then she covers the rest of her time off. Nobody's saying she's got to take a minimum or only 6 weeks.
Well,
It's
okay.
basically 6 weeks paid.
I would suggest.
Then after that, sick leave and vacation leave come next.
Now, it might not seem like a whole heck of a lot, but why not have them charge the sick leave first before you pay her?
I don't think that you can do it that way.
Why
We're not
not?
gonna do it that way.
Why not?
Because we
If you're
need,
following
I
FMLA
think,
guidelines, that's the first thing they burn is their sick leave.
I think
I
that,
don't know, I
I
had a
think what we
question
need
on
to do is we need to start working, the council itself needs to start working on what we want to do for a policy. We've got your input on that. And I think that they've listened to what you had to say, but we need to move on with what we would like to do and what we'd like to develop.
So is there a possibility that I can get in on some discussion later on down the road, or am I totally out of it now?
Well, I don't know,
And
because
also,
if we
this
don't
whole
do, if we make our own decisions and decide that we want to give her 6 weeks paid and 6 weeks, that she uses her own stuff, are you gonna keep coming up with examples and ideas and stuff?
Examples?
Or what you've been talking, whatever you've been doing?
You guys,
No,
I've been
what I'm trying-
listening to
what I'm
you,
trying
Terry.
say is- What I'm trying to say is, I'm not opposed to paying her for being gone. That's, I think, where people are getting me wrong. I'm saying that if you used a guideline, if you followed a guideline like FMLA, she has to use her sick leave first for her time off until it's exhausted.
I didn't read
If
that.
she only has 10 days, if she only has 10 days of sick leave, she has to burn those 10 days. And if she has no vacation time left and you want to give her 5 more weeks of pay then do
But you
it.
see, we aren't obligated to use FMLA.
Oh, God.
We know, I know. that-
But we planned on making a good policy that supported our employees.
All right, just make it fair for the men.
well, and after that, she's
Well,
got
there's
nothing in
something
the tank to
different, man.
use it if there's an issue down the road, the child gets sick, that sick leave got zeroed out. And what do you do then? And then you face a dilemma. Well, do I take unpaid time off or do I?
So what does that encourage your employee to do while they're employed? Encourages them to not frivolously use their sick leave. That's what that
Or not
encourages
use
them to
sick
do.
leave at all, and that's the danger, in my opinion. Frivolous or otherwise.
Well,
And to be very frank, Terry, out of this discussion we have with you, I really like the idea of the disability insurance, and I want to hear more about that. Not tonight, but I would like to hear more of that, because I'd like to protect the employees. And
They have
how
the
that's
ability to
done.
take out
Yeah,
that.
sign up, it comes out of our paycheck. Which is why I didn't sign up for it at first, because I was at $13 an hour and $200 comes
It's
out of
cost
each paycheck.
prohibitive when you
For
don't
me
make
and
enough
Brock, and
money.
he's an independent contractor, he doesn't get insurance. And it took me, sorry, I'm going personal here, 3 years to get pregnant. So by this time, no, I didn't sign up for it because I didn't know if I could get pregnant.
That was what I was gonna
That's
ask,
why.
if we, as
I'm
an
not-
employee, put towards the disability, or if it's paid by the employee. There were just different questions, but I didn't want to
you know,
really
that's a
go into
benefit
that
that the city
tonight.
could throw on its employees.
Well, that's,
You
yeah.
know, it's down the
But
road.
anyway, we need to
Make
make
it a
this
benefit.
policy.
That or
Paying disability insurance for them. And then the city's protected from having to pay them.
Yeah.
It's probably cheaper to pay the disability insurance premium than it is to pay the employees.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know, I don't know what the premium is.
I don't think so. That's not, this is actually cheaper.
So it was $200 a month?
Not just for being
I-
pregnant.
Oh, I
Insurance
agree
for
with you.
everything, yes.
But paying additional insurance for all 4 employees is more expensive than
And that will
even just this one thing.
almost double.
This one
As soon as
time.
I have a
Yeah,
baby.
$2,400 a year.
With this one time, but also even if you had,
Employees,
if
so,
you,
yeah.
even if we applied it to injuries, long-term injuries, it would still be cheaper than paying short-term disability
So,
insurance. Insurance is
going
not,
forward with like
affordable.
next year's budget and things. So we put this policy together. Let's say, just for instance, just hypothetically, we agree, the council, you guys agree to establish a 6-week paid maternity leave, then 6 weeks at your own discretionary pay or whatever it is, 2 weeks paid for men, whatever it is you choose. would it not be feasible then from next year to actually allot this into the budget so that those funds are just sitting there in case we do hire another female, she does get pregnant. Any of the other men, you know, the guys that work here, if their wives were to become pregnant, so that we just have the funds sitting there ready to roll next year. Obviously, we need to address this year, but next year when we redo our budget, things like that, to just have this money set aside so that we know, yes, we are taking care of our employees as a city, as a government, as whatever. We got your back. Eskridge cares, whatever you want to do it as. You know, like, we're in a little bit of a quandary right now because obviously Stephanie didn't alert the entire town that she was planning on getting pregnant this year, so none of us could budget for it. But next time, if you could.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like, we can have it prepared better for next time, but we get this in place.
I think
we
Justin's-
take care of our employees, and that's what we do. You know, we're a small town, we take care of each other. That's what we're supposed to do.
I think the point that Justin made though is that that money is there,
It's there regardless.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got, yeah, it's.
Well, and
whether we
I
set it to the side or not.
I mean, I
It
get,
exists.
It
It's-
is there.
it is there.
It's
Yeah.
existing
Yeah.
amount of money
It's not
that's
that there's a negative funds or, and he's saying that we've covered this in the past before, even as early as 2 years ago.
Well, we
covered
actually
4 months
also-
between
I-
two people being paid.
I was gonna throw it out there also. There used to be a treasurer and a clerk back in the day, so
yeah.
just
So that's been rolled into one
Putting
position,
that out there.
and then the
Yes.
extra pay that that other person was paying is now just back into the budget,
Or is
right?
it-
Or
is
however
it-
you guys do it.
Or did the current employee get, increase in pay?
Because
Because
the
it's
2
taken
jobs,
over.
they probably.
Yeah.
I doubt they
they're-
absorbed
Not to cover 2 full incomes.
No, but they
Well,
have
no,
to
you don't
pay.
ever, you don't ever absorb 2 full incomes from somebody.
Job expansion.
Just
Right.
a job expansion and a pay expansion of
Or
some sort.
attrition or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, same argument can be made for law enforcement. You know, we used to have 40 hours out of law enforcement, and that kind of went by the wayside. You know, with
Just sad.
health insurance went way up, and you know, hit us for about $10,000 a year extra a few years ago. Whenever all that happened, and you know that was hurtful, and that happened about the same time that John wanted to become more of a, you know, less cop, more water, and that fit the needs of the city at the time, and that's how we handled that transition. But unfortunately, it's tapered back from that. But
Yeah, too bad.
yeah, but you know, we need to add that back in and realize it is a valuable city service, and of course we're trying to get there as well. But
Well, I'm hearing that we've got the money for this, and I'm hearing from other meetings that either I've attended or I've watched on the tapes that we don't have money for some things. We have it for this, we don't have it for that. We got it for this, we got it for that.
well, that's the
It's the
fun
magic.
of it
Depends
too.
on
That's
where
the
it
magic
comes
of it.
from.
Yeah, that's the magic of it. I
That's the
still
fun
haven't
of the
quite
council.
figured out that magic.
I haven't figured
But when I
it out
do, I'll
yet.
get back to you because it's
Yeah.
amazing how we have it for something.
I actually,
and
I
we don't for
will
another.
comment on this
To
just
ask
from a
about
city
this.
clerk standpoint. It depends on what we're talking about. So my wages do not come solely from the general fund. And I feel like that's where a lot of the issues come from, is the general fund is what we use, like streets and alleys, cop, and
Tearing down
anything can
houses.
come out of the general fund. So I think that's where that issue comes
Her
from.
wages
is
comes
when-
out of the different businesses that we have.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
it's,
I think
it's
that's
much easier to pay out of the revenue
difference.
funds for
Yes.
things, water and gas and
Because she
Sewer
does
as
work
well.
2 jobs now instead of, you know, she's 2 people. She does take care of all of those different businesses. So that's why we draw it out of there.
But yeah, when you're looking at the general fund, something that's not a revenue-based fund, that has to be transferred from the revenue funds and everything. That's, I think, where we run into. We don't have. the
And
money.
whenever you hear us talk about the fact that we might have money, it might be the fact that one person wants to do one thing and yet there's something over here that needs to be done. So we have to decide which projects get done in what year. What year do we do this one and what year do we do that one? Which one needs to be done the most? What's most important to the community? What's the best for the community? And so, you're funny. And so that's the way it is.
yeah, general fund dollars are precious because you could literally
Right.
use it on anything. I mean, that, you know, within the scope of, you know, ethical and everything, but
Right.
Every other dollar has a purpose. I mean, the water fund spent on water, but a clerk taking care of the water can, her wages can be, part of that can come out of that. And that's the justification there. And
So
that's
then
the same
does Jim Weir
justification
get
for
paid
the
out of-
part-time clerk.
The lake and water funds only and not anything
His
out of
majority
general?
is water.
Because I mean, I
The
don't know
guys
why he would get
keep
paid out of
track.
general at all.
He doesn't,
He doesn't.
Okay.
unless he's doing snow plow, unless they're plowing the streets. The guys keep track of everything that they do. So they have a work, I can show you their timesheet that they use, but it's set up as lake, sewer, gas, water. And then they write down I worked this many hours this week in lake, this many sewer, this many whatever. So yeah, no one's paycheck comes solely out of the general fund.
When we make a yearly budget with the accountant, do we set up some kind of a spending budget for the year for when we have people come in and ask for donations, do we plan for the year how much we're gonna spend toward other people?
I mean,
We're roughly.
roughly,
We used to.
they used to have, yeah.
We always used to have a little line item at the bottom. We made it a $2,500 this theoretical cap that was non-binding, but we just always had donations. And anytime we make a donation,
You're talking
we get-
about a cap on a donation per person, not
No.
month.
No.
This
This
is
is
the whole year?
for the year. We say $2,500.
I think that would be a useful visual for the public, because I feel like we say we can't afford things, and then I don't know what we're going off of, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. That just kind of fell by the wayside because
We
I don't
just
know.
kind of
The
make the
council
same-
hadn't really expressed interest, I guess, in keeping that going. But
When
We
the
roughly make
veterans
the
thing
same,
fell
I think,
apart,
Right, we
we
roughly
make the
make
same
each
Well,
donations
year,
that'd be
every
easy to
year.
come
we really don't know where
Or
we're
each.
ending up at the end of the
Right.
year between spending and income.
yeah,
I mean,
I can
other
make-
than, I know the account, I know there's a budget. I'm not saying I don't know this stuff, but plans.
We keep track of it and
Yeah. I mean, I
She-
can make something like that. It wouldn't be able to be on something like this because these are set up as our
yeah.
funds that are budgeted
Mhm.
for. So it couldn't be its own line item without being in the budget, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't know the best way to do it. I just
But
wondered about it
could
myself.
be
'Cause
on a separate spreadsheet.
I feel the
or
same way.
something.
We say we can't afford that, or we can't afford that,
yeah.
and sometimes I'm like, I don't understand where that's coming from, or
I think having
What the
a
basis
planned
is.
project list that the public has access
And
to
then,
that they can see and be
you know,
like, oh,
when we
have
cap
this
out, the
and
year's
this money on
done.
that, you
Yeah.
know, or this is where
Well,
this is going.
honestly,
They're
our
gonna come and
plan
dig
that we
one
used
ditch
to
in
go by was just simply Lisa. And she would say, we would give $2,500 a year to these things. And she would say, okay, you've already given 700 to this or 500 to this. And this is how much you have left in the account or the amount or whatever. There was no special amount. There wasn't earmarked or anything. We just arbitrarily came up with, this is how much we normally donate per year.
Oh, I was just thinking like city projects themselves, like we know
That
this
too.
year
Oh,
we're
sorry.
gonna change out all the streetlights, this is what it's gonna cost, city's
Yeah.
gonna see progress in action, you know, and then they actually see, okay, so I know that, you know, the $25,000 that's sitting in this fund is going towards this project, and I can see it with my eyes, this is completely
I mean,
aside, you know, I'm
the
going.
actual budget we
Yeah,
file
I
with the
think like
state.
that would be nice.
No, I
Yeah.
think people want to see
I do too.
our
Yeah.
employees out in the community working.
Well, I would love to just see
That's-
planned projects and then completion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we know we're gonna repave this gravel road this year, that's what we're doing, and then we're gonna see it, and there's gonna be a.
You don't have to make a sign like the
Whatever,
state
you know what I mean?
Your tax
Well,
dollars
Ribbon
are worth
cutting.
thanks a lot.
No.
Yeah,
you don't
you're
need
that.
Well,
You're
and
that.
perhaps you don't realize is that we know we have to save up a certain amount of money for the lake. We have to save up a certain amount of money for the lake because we're gonna do our share on the road out there.
So
And
that's
it's just-
something that you can say though to people, is like.
We have said,
spend
it's
this
been
much
said.
here, you know?
And then we also have, we also have the special highway fund that we're trying to build up so that we can do the curbs out front, you know, the ones that are getting all
So like
chipped and broken and
Town,
stuff.
how close are we to that? Where are we at on that goal? You know,
Yeah.
just things that the public could see. Maybe, you know, like on the Eskridge city page that I was a member of. Just so everyone knows. But you know,
Uh-huh.
post things like that on there. January, here's what we're doing this year. Stephanie's having a baby and we're all excited. So, you know, stuff like that. Whatever. Just
Yeah.
Did you get that first?
No, I don't.
little more, I mean, just, you know, get community.
Well,
involved.
we're-
Let us know how it's all
yeah.
going, because most people have no clue and they don't care. They just want Cliff Notes versions of things. Bullet points and highlights. Just throw it
I
out
will
there
say
for 'em.
also there's the minutes. I mean, I know that's
Nobody
not.
reads those though, and even then, I mean, are you writing down everything I say word for word on the minutes?
No,
It doesn't
no.
go in there
Well,
like that.
And then here you go.
It just gets difficult too.
The only time people become interested in when is there's something that interests them. And then we'll see them for a while and then they'll go away. In the meantime, we try and work within the budget that we have. And we keep an eye on it. There's always stuff that comes up. There's always a few buildings that we might want to be able to take down this year, but we might not be able to take down this year. But we did real good last year, I thought. And the things that we probably need to concentrate on, what I want to concentrate on may not be what they want to do.
But
So.
what I'm talking about is what's actually budgeted and
Yeah.
planned for. Like, this is what our 2021 budget is going to allow for us to do this improvement to the city. Right.
Yeah.
That's what set goals that are measurable and attainable and let the public be aware. Because that way when they come up and someone says, well, we don't have the money for that, I'm just Joe Citizen. I don't know what that means. Why are you telling me, but you told them yes? Is it because, oh, you don't like my last name? That type of stuff. If you actually have it detailed out from the day one, then people would know and they would feel more secure, not only in their community, but in the jobs that you guys are doing.
But I will say too, that like if they want to be involved, they have
should
every
show up.
opportunity
Yes,
to
I agree 1,000%.
now watch the meeting or attend the meeting.
Yeah, they're
What are
live.
the views
So-
on the meeting?
Or get a hold of one of us.
Getting an actual record, or do we have?
It's on
community
YouTube.
involvement? Or have you looked
It's
at actual views?
oh yeah, it shows on there. It changes
So what's
every
the
day,
average?
but I mean 15 maybe.
15.
So we've got
So that's
metrics?
15 people.
Yeah,
then.
it tells you how many views on there. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Facebook used to tell you that.
Mhm.
And
YouTube
yeah,
does too.
It didn't.
Okay.
It just
Stop
depends.
telling
I
you
mean,
There were a lot more views when it was on Facebook, I believe.
oh yeah.
Well, and then all
That's a
somebody's
social
doing is
media
just
site, of
posting
course
that
it
link,
is.
that
Right.
YouTube link to Facebook, right? I mean, it's not really.
All you have to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel. It pops up.
Well, no, I think it was a live.
Notification.
It was a live video.
We start any meeting, I get a pling as soon as I'm in here
Yeah.
because this thing immediately gives me a notification that we're live.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to your point about the budget, just real quick, we have a budget that gets turned into the state every year. Yes, it's vague because it has generalized things like commodities and it'll have something for that, and it also has the kind of the weird rule that you have to show every fund budgeted down to $0, which you would never do realistically. So it would be saying that we have to spend it. Well, we don't have to spend every dollar of the general fund, but having it like that on paper gives us the authority to spend it.
Right.
Yeah, something like what you're talking about. I remember talking whenever we went to this new software, we wanted something that could get us budgeting and something that could get us forecasting, and we could throw that we want to do this project or that project and have that actually show up. We've got a $25,000 line item coming out in May for whatever reason because we're doing such and such, and then I don't even know how far you go, down the line, 21, 22 other years. It would be nice to have something like that. We're not there today. I don't know if that could be, I mean, anything we come up with now is probably just kind of like a wish list, and
Right.
honestly, and that's,
But you
Kinda
start with a wish list and then you move a couple items to a goal list.
yeah.
Then you
that's-
move an item or two to the done list.
Yeah.
We just keep shuffling along.
Yeah.
And it takes a year or two, 3, however long, but I'm just saying to maybe
start
help
somewhere.
spur up some
Yes.
community involved. Yes,
Yeah.
that's
You start somewhere and it shows progress. And
Yeah.
And it
Make
shows
something more
intent from
tangible
the
and
city
visible.
that, maybe some of the people in town
I think it would
be more, apt to show up because they're gonna talk about, the pool tonight and that's what we've been thinking about this for days or weeks or months or
All right.
you know what I mean?
In all
Wishful thinking,
fairness, Angel,
Yeah.
we talk about it on the film, and then we do put
And I've
out
watched the
on the
videos,
agenda,
but a
but
lot of
we
it is
also,
numbers and
she
nothing
has an
explained.
email account that sends out the agenda to anybody that wants it. So, and we've talked about that too, when people were here and when people weren't here, but she will send that agenda out. You know how that works. And so you can get on that. And so,
Yeah.
give her
Oh, I'm
your
just
email.
saying in general for anyone, not just myself.
No, you see that, it just said anybody can, there's probably quite a few people on it already. I mean, back when we started all this communication stuff, people were on it more often, and they do pick and choose what they wanna come to on the agenda, that's true.
Because the last one was big.
Now,
six.
let's does anybody wanna talk about this that we were
No,
talking about?
I hear, let's just start. I wanna make a motion to adopt V7 maternity leave that Justin has right here. I think that is very well written. I think it's very well done, and I want to see that.
How about let's have the lawyer look at it?
You don't have.
Well, no, we should, but we should have him look at it, and then we can vote on him next week.
I don't know why you can't put it on now, have the
Maybe
lawyer look
do
at
it
it later.
Well, of course you can if the council chooses to do
Yeah.
that.
And I would like to at least get this going. I would like
What's the
to
rush?
rush. I'm tired of dragging things out.
Funny guy, you.
Let's get it done. This is very well written. There's nothing, it covers almost everything.
No, I don't think it's a bad idea to read through it and make any
I-
notes.
I'm thinking about it.
Do you want to read
You've been
on
awfully quiet. What's your input?
You're welcome.
I would kind
I
of
know,
prefer
thank
people
you.
mull it over. I mean, I don't want to,
I'm not in
Drag
a
this
rush,
into the
but I
next
would like it to be seriously
necessarily,
considered,
but-
not just brushed to the side.
I would like to see some finality to it, but I also want people to be comfortable with whatever this is, or anything that they would suggest that could improve this or make this amicable to the most number of people.
All right, so that sounds like
I've read the whole thing already.
Brad's happy with it, but everybody wants to, and does anybody else want? You want to look at it and read it well, and then we'll vote on it next week next meeting.
I think you're making me more nervous being quiet, Tim.
We don't all have to agree, and we've all learned that.
Why compromises
And I'm usually the one.
both
that does
parties being unhappy, I think. I thought you'd come with something to say, but
it. Well, the only thing that I think I said, and I still mean, is I don't want this to be personal. I don't want this to be about any one particular person. I wish we would have had this conversation 6 months ago.
I agree,
I
it
think
should've
it would have
been
been a lot more comfortable, a lot
Oh,
more.
hell yes, it would have been.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I'm
sure.
sorry
for everybody, yeah.
making it uncomfortable.
I, as a person, feel bad that I learned of it the way I did at a meeting, and that makes it seem personal, but I have absolutely nothing against Stephanie. I never had. I love it when she walks by and says hi, on her weekly walks and her daily walks and stuff. I have absolutely nothing. I agree with you, Tim. It should have been handled differently and sooner, and it's sad that it isn't, and it's come to this, and I don't want hurt feelings
it's kind of how
at all. I just am
maternity
glad
leave as a
everybody
whole new
listened.
nation has been.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's probably something that just never happened in city history before. That's
Well, like I
That's
said,
probably true.
when I called all the cities, almost all of them laughed and said, "Really?" There were cities that I also wanted to mention. There were a number of cities that are only open 4 hours a day. So when you were talking about the halftime thing,
Mhm.
certainly is not unheard of. The one thing that I did want to throw out here, whatever we decide to do, let's go way back in time to a time when somebody said, we've got a lot of documents that we need to have scanned in. If we're going to do a training thing, and if we're going to have double the workload here, if there is downtime, I don't know, that's your area. But if there's downtime with two people just sitting there thinking, okay, what else do we do? Maybe we can start scanning some stuff in.
Do we have to buy a scanner, or a special machine, or anything?
I think so because, you're know more about
We
this
talked
than
about
I
this
do.
before,
We
but,
have.
you know.
I don't know how that works because like our scanner, it just goes into like the scan documents. Like I don't know how to set that up to where, because that would kind of be a nightmare scanning in this many pages and then sorting them. In my opinion, I mean, I don't know. I'm not
I don't really know a good
technological
automated
enough to.
way to do it. Like as far as like changing all the file names, because it'll go in as like scan 1, scan 2, scan 3, and just drop into like somewhere on the network. Is that kind of what you're saying?
I
or-
guess, yeah.
Maybe you could get a hold of like the Biloxi County Museum that like did that with all their pictures and everything.
I wonder, yeah,
They would
could you
have
take
a
some
good
time to
suggestion.
research it, to
Sure.
see the best way that it could be lined up?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure with as many documents and stuff we have, it might, if it isn't too costly, if we can do it with our machine, that's great too, but
Mhm.
I have a
Yes,
picture in my
yeah.
head of
I mean,
doing it with the
you
machine and
could,
going into
yeah.
a certain.
I think that we should try to be proactive on that rather than wait until we have a fire or a flood or a roof cave in or
I
something.
mean, yeah, for sure.
I completely agree with you. I just don't know that, in what we're doing here and we're training somebody for, I
Yeah,
think the goal was to kind of minimize that and part of the appeal
I
of
understand that.
having somebody like Carrie coming in is she already knows,
Yeah.
you know, so a few pieces of the job and just, okay, well, here's how you do statements. Here's how you do some of the monthly things that, only Stephanie knows how to do now, but.
Well, I thought about this idea before I had heard your suggestion of maybe part-time or whatever filling in. And I just remember that the one time we talked about hiring a second person just for this purpose. And I thought, well, if we have a second person here and there is downtime, hey, let's get them on this. Whatever we can get, I certainly didn't expect it all to get done, but whatever we can get done, we can get done.
Well, that might be something to say, hey, Carrie, would you be, or whoever, come in, a couple times a week, do you want 8 hours and just jockey in the copier? I don't know. I mean, but
Needs to be done. I just wanted to remind everybody. it needs to be done.
I think that's the case too. And you're probably right. We need to address that before we can't.
Since I am digging up bones here, there's one other thing that I wanted to ask about. When you mentioned parking in the alleyway, you didn't say who you were specifically talking about or where.
I was talking about if we turn our little red truck and put some light bars on it and stuff to make it our safe.
No. I'm talking about when you had mentioned something to Brett. about
Oh,
somebody parking in the alleyway.
I was worried about that. It was something I was gonna talk to the fire department about. A little gal that lives on the street next to the hotel was saying that the alley was blocked on the end.
Oh.
And Mr. Kimball has put trailers there, I think, and stuff to stop the traffic from going in there because it's sort of a dead end place. I mean, that's his property, but people have been used to driving in it for years. And so I think he put his different trailers there. But when she said that to me, I looked at it myself and I thought, well, how would a fire truck get back there? They would have to drive around. They would have to come down, drive around the streets, and then come up the alley. And so I don't know if it's allowed to have alleys blocked.
I thought that wasn't considered an alley.
Behind the house, between the.
I thought that's
the-
why Gary blocked it off, because it wasn't.
Well, that
considered
road
an
that goes
alley.
past the big, that's what you're talking about. I'm talking about the alleys that go behind the houses, like between Jack Foster's house
Uh,
and the hotel. There's an alley that goes there. And then when it comes out, it's blocked. And then JD did the same thing when he did the rodeo. He took over that rodeo grounds, and so that kind of blocked it. So it was a natural thing for Gary to just go ahead and block the rest of it off. But then that started blocking the alleys. And so my concern was not so much that Dakota wanted to drive up and down the alley to, get the junk out of there that somebody had left, but the fire deal. But I was going to talk to Mike about that because if he doesn't think it's a problem, then I was going to drop it. So that's something I'll talk to him about. And if we don't have to do anything, I won't do it. Yes,
My alley is a swamp.
your alley is
My
what?
alley just,
I moved to
Flat?
adjourn.
you can't drive down it.
Oh, we don't maintain alleys.
Oh, it's a swamp.
I
Swamp.
second.
Yeah, it has a pond too.
So can I go worm hunting back there?
Yes.
You
Pick
have a
up some dog
motion,
poo while you're at it. I'll give you the scoop.
Okay. Jim, did you make a motion?
Yeah,
I
and
did.
you have a second.
You seconded? All in favor? All opposed?
I don't think I've ever.
I've
seen something.
never.
That's always been the running joke.
Well, he wants to get it over with.
well, I'm gonna settle. Quit dragging this shit out day after day, week after week. Let's get it done. The people who don't want it make up excuses why it needs to be dragged out.
Yeah.
Definitely have something for you. I have paperwork for you.
Tried.
Me?